Hello. Bonjour, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's session. My name is Jeremy Kay, and I'm the Americas editor of Screen International. And today we've got a really great session for you, just finding my papers here, all about producing films with streaming services. So we're going to be hearing from some representatives from the streaming platforms, and we're also going to be hearing from producers about their experiences working with each other. It's an interesting time in France. We know that there are, of course, content quotas now requiring a certain amount of content on streamers in Europe to be European-made. And of course, the windows have been changing as well with the media chronology. I'm going to be just going down the line and telling you a little bit about our panelists before we start speaking. And if you can just give me 1 second, and then I'll get on with it. Just 1 second, please. Just have a quick word with Anaïd, and we'll be starting in 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go. So I'm going to introduce you to each of our panelists and tell you a little bit about them, first of all. Next to me, we have Sarah May, who is Director of Content Acquisitions France for Netflix France. Sarah's been Director of Acquisitions and Co-Productions for France since 2018. She started her career at M6, working on international co-productions before being responsible for foreign film acquisitions for EuropaCorp. Then at TF1 International, responsible for US and foreign acquisitions and development. Driven by the desire to discover the other side of the scene, she then became in charge of international sales. Prior to joining Netflix, Sarah headed Alma Cinema, a sales company created by Advitam Distribution, CG Cinema, and Les Films Velvet. Next to Sarah, we have Thomas Dubois, head of French originals at Amazon Studios. After graduating from Neoma Business School, Thomas started his career in the TV industry as an international TV market analyst and program consultant at TF1. 4 years after working on many productions, he returned to TF1 in 2014 as the head of new programs creation and development. In 2019, he joined Amazon Studios as head of French originals to launch the production of French originals and build out the local French team. He's been leading projects on titles such as Mélanie Laurent's The Mad Woman's Ball, Lisa, as well as I Love America, Olivier Marchal's Overdose, and many others. Next to Thomas, we have Marine Ford, Director of Cinema Production at Gaumont. After graduating from Law University, she started in business affairs at TF1, working on sales and acquisition deals. Then she joined Zilam Animation in 2000 as head of legal and business affairs, and then on to Mandarin Production. In 2008, Marine joined Gaumont as general counsel, and since 2020 has been director of cinema production. Gaumont Productions and Distributions makes about 10 films a year, as well as TV and animation, and handles, of course, a very large catalogue. Next to Marine, we have Lionel, who is another one of our producers, and Lionel is Lionel Ouzin, co-founder of MD Federation Entertainment, former Acquisitions, Productions and International Distribution Director at SND, the production and distribution label of French network M6. Lionel joined Federation Entertainment in 2014 as co-founder and managing director, overseeing production distribution for France, Europe, and the US. Federation is based in Paris, LA, Rome, Madrid, London, Berlin, and Tel Aviv, and is active in drama, documentary, kids and family, and light entertainment. And at the end of the line, we have Julien Madon, a producer. Julien produced his first feature in 2010, The Assault, directed by Julien Leclerc. Since then, he's produced 4 other features from the same director: The Crew, The Bouncer, Earth, and Blood. He's also worked with writer and director Frédéric Tellier on his feature SK1, which was nominated for César Awards as Best First Feature and Adaptation categories. He's worked also with the same director on Through the Fire, which sold more than 1 million tickets in 2018, and Goliath, which was released theatrically in 2022, this year in March. Samuel Benchetrit, the collaborator, is also a director on some other films that Julien's worked for. Feature Macadam Stories has been selected at Cannes Film Festival for official selection, out of competition, and César Awards. So we welcome you all. And what we're going to do now is start by asking some of our representatives from the streamers a little bit about what they are looking for and how they collaborate with producers. So Thomas, if I can start with you. And I would like to know, first of all, when you are collaborating with producers, well, first of all, let's have a general question to set the scene. How do you see your role and the streaming role in the French cinematic landscape? And how's it evolving?
I think we are an opportunity for producers, a new one, an additional one to all the existing possibilities they have to produce movies. We're here to stimulate creativity, to try to innovate around the format of movies. And we are here to create human relationship, creative relationship, and to try to support as best as we can the producer industry.
Do you think that film is the poor relation to TV on the platforms? What's its status now in your eyes?
I think we're focusing a lot on formats, and what matters is the story. And some stories needs to be told through a movie, some others through a series. So I would value both the same way, but I think Sarah can also elaborate on that.
Sure, it's also that we've also started to create movies and produce movies a little further down the line from series. So, but the investments into movies and the commitment to producers in doing movies is growing, and films are becoming a very important pillar of our offering, and it'll continue doing so for sure.
And you can see it in like the catalogs. Like we are producing movies, we are acquiring library titles, and it's super important. We see that our customers, they want to watch movies, and we always work backwards from the customer need.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question, then I'm going to come to our producers. Broadly speaking, Sarah, maybe you can answer this. What kind of content are you looking for now? What is working?
We've tried many things that are working, and that's the good news. I think we've recently came back with French action, with Julien Leclerc's movies, Earth and Blood, Sentinelle, Lost Bullet, which had a huge impact. We picked up also Bronx, Olivier Marchal, Rogue City, that had during the pandemic because of theaters being closed. So we're contributing to that narrative of French action film that has a pretty great resonance in France and globally. That's one of the trends that we want to set and continue for sure. And we are intentionally looking for projects that create a diverse offering, because our fan base, our member base is large and growing, and it is important for us to be complementary to the theatrical and TV market, very diversified and very original in what we offer, because that's what creates the curiosity to watch more movies, discover French movies, and here and globally for us.
And Thomas?
I agree with a lot of what Sarah just said. I think the key first point for us is how do we generate conversation around the title? How the story is going to drive a conversation? We're in a crowded landscape with a lot of offerings, so we need to, for each title, for it to resonate and to be watched and seen. We are also working on action. We did a movie with Gaumont, with Olivier Marchal, Overdose. We're currently shooting the next Franck Gastambide movie, Medellin, trying to push the limits on what we can do on this. And also comedy movies. It's a big thing for us. We've acquired when the theaters were closed, a few titles like Forte, like Je te veux moi non plus, and those were super good success. So we want to double down on comedy too, and trying to always innovate with also producing things that would be more indie movies. Like we are producing the next Maimouna Doucouré movie, Awa, and we have this willingness to test things and to give a tribune also to those type of creators.
Yeah, I really wanted to stretch on that because for you guys not to think that we are intentionally looking just at certain genre. It's not, you know. We're talking about French action because it's a good story that we've started to tell, but it's not the only one we want to tell. We're widening the genres that we're betting on. Another example would be our venture into urban films, the American definition of urban films, any films that inspire, get their inspiration on the street, from pop culture, hip hop. We've found resonance into our audience with these films. I can think of Romain Gavras' next film, Athena, which is in that realm that we're very much looking forward to see and to launch. I can think of Banlieusard that we've launched earlier. A couple of years ago that really resonated with our audience, and so the looking for the stories that will strike the chord of our audience is really key, and it's not just one genre, that for sure.
And just to finish, I think one key thing for us too is to create heroes that people are not used to see on screen, and to give them, let's say, an opportunity to shine.
Great, thank you guys. So I want to we'll come back to you, but I want to come to our producers now and ask you about, what's driven you to collaborate with streamers. Marine, maybe you can start. What's been some of the driving force behind starting with them, with working with the streamers?
Well, as you know, we are producing movies for theaters. So for us, it's a new way of working. And it's true that the pandemic maybe has forced us to have a new reflection and has made an acceleration to this new way of create stories, because at the end of the day, this is what we want to do, create stories. And platform and streamers gave us this new opportunity. And we work with all platforms. We worked with Netflix, we work with Amazon. During pandemic, as Sarah said, we had this experience with Bronx, and now we are producing our first 100% financing platform with Thomas. So it's very challenging because it's a different way of working, and maybe we'll go more over after. We think that there's some stories at this time maybe more dedicated to streamers. And as you both said, action movies are for us a great place for this kind of movies. We actually produced a Go Fast with Thomas Overdose, which was a very Go Fast production. And we'll go more over that. So, well, we're very happy of this new way of, again, create stories.
Thank you. Lionel, tell us a little bit about your motivations and your early experiences with streaming?
I cannot because I'm under NDA, so I just. No.
Thank you, Lionel. Moving on.
It was Julian's joke, but I stole it. Sorry. Sorry, what was the question?
Just your initial motivation to work with streamers and your first collaborations.
Well, as I'm concerned, I have some experience with the streamers on the TV series side. So I would say, and the company is pretty accustomed to work with, Amazon and Netflix. And although the formats are different, of course, between series and films, the companies and their, way to approach production, creativity, and the way they, analyze project and the relationship between them and the producers and creators, I kind of knew already, how it was, kind of working. So when we started getting into film production, just only made sense to go to our, I would say, regular and closest partners. And then, as Marine said, when you look at a movie today and how you're gonna put it together, and also what kind of exposition and promotion you want, I think it's quite interesting to think about that. Also to discuss with the talents, to get a sense of the type of exposition they are interested to have. And I guess the evolution since the pandemic is pretty outstanding on that front, on the talent side. I think the openness and the understanding that it's a complementary kind of exposition, I think has been a big evolution, which makes, in a way, I think, easier to get projects to be made with those guys, and also to get the talents to understand, what's at stake and also what's interesting in doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And Julia, a little introduction from you. Tell us about some of your early experiences and why you're working with streaming.
Action, as everyone said. No, as Sarah said, in 2018 when she arrived at Netflix, I knew Sarah from her previous job, and I went to see her because I wanted to do an action movie. And at this time, and I think it's different now, action movies were quite difficult to do for cinema, because if pay TV are eager to do action movies, for theaters it's difficult. It's a kind of public they don't really want to have in theaters, and so it was difficult. For me, I thought it was an opportunity to have Netflix, so I went to see her, and at this time she bought a movie I produced called The Crew, and she told me, and I'm supposed to be under NDA, but I will say. She told me for a moment, but I don't know if it's 5 hours or 2 days, it was the most non-English movie viewed on Netflix. And so for a French producer, I was wow, okay. And that's how we did the first movie together, Earth and Blood, and that's the end. Thank you. And then quickly we did another one with the same director, because we enjoyed doing the first movie together.
Yeah, so I want to get a little bit more now into sort of the personal nature of it and the actual day-to-day process of, the streaming platforms, working with the producers, the collaboration, the notes. How hands-on are you? Marine, could we talk about you mentioned Go Fast with Thomas and Prime. Can you give us an idea about what it's been like to work with a streaming platform? How hands-on are they? Because in the United States we hear, for example, that the streaming platforms are very hands-off. The notes will come, they're very detailed, but they let you get on with it. What's the process been like with you?
Well, it's true that
You are under NDA, remember.
I'm talking about our feelings, That's not under NDA. No, it's true that it's a different way of working, but also because we are movie producers, and when you produce a movie, you are very free, as we are distributing our movies under theaters, and we are not producing for theaters or for broadcasters. So the philosophy is not the same at the beginning. So first you have to understand that, and you have to turn your way of thinking, and then you start a great partnership with streamers. For our Go Fast, as I was saying, it was a really Go Fast production. As we started in June. We proposed a treatment to Thomas, and instantly there were a desire. And I have to say that with all the experience we've had with platforms, we had this desire, this envy, this, envie.
This desire.
Very strong to work with us. And this is very important because we need that. And after the treatment, we made our negotiation. And we started shooting in November, and now the movie is, we locked the edits on March. So in less than 1 year, we made a movie. So that was very fast. And so we had to understand our, practice. So I would say that the very positive thing is this, efficiency, and again this desire to move and to produce. So the development and the shooting phase was very easygoing and very fruitful. Then again on the process, I think we need to learn all together, because I guess we need to adapt also our practice. There is lots of reporting, but it's a question of establishing trust between producers and also with the talents. So that was a very positive way.
I would just say one thing is that when we start working with producers, we're not here to tell them what to do, because they're professionals. You see here, you have super good producers. But what we can do with them is for them to understand our customer expectation, right? And this is a new world, and the streaming services are growing. We have different expectations from our customers. So this is where I think there's a fruitful and healthy relationship that we can build, because in the end, what matters the most is for the movies to be watched by the most people.
And I would also say that it's not the same process to produce and to propose a movie for theaters and for this public and for platforms. And on the storytelling, we had to work a lot together, because maybe for us on theaters, it's more like the 20 last minutes who are very important, crucial when you go and see a movie, whereas for you streamers, the starting of the movie is very crucial. So we had to work together on the editing, on the start of the movie. Maybe, Thomas, you want to tell more about
It's
that?
how you make an impact. As we were saying, there's a big offering. I think the approach is a bit different in the fact that how people are watching, and this is also what we're trying to work on together. It's a discussion, and we, as Marine said, establishing trust also with the talent for them for their content to resonate afterwards. So.
So it sounds encouraging, and there's things you're learning about the way ahead of working with each other, but that sounds promising.
We are learning, and in the meantime, they know how to produce. They're producing movies already. They will continue, and even if there are a few things that can be different in the approach, they know what they're doing. Like, I think it's important to remind that it's all about telling a good story.
Yeah. And Julien.
I just want to add, it's very interesting because we were talking about that yesterday. If you want to do movies for Netflix, just to say, then the first thing you have to do is to watch the top 10 and to try to understand the audience of the platform you are aiming to. And And the other thing I want to say is that I didn't have the same experience as Marine, because the movie I made with Netflix were not movie I developed with them, were movies I developed by myself. And then I went to see Sarah with a script and a package. So it was really for me very nice experience. Not to say it's not nice. It's not nice to develop with a platform, because that's what I say for a series. But it's really different, because then I think it's closer to the experience you can have for when you do a movie for theaters.
Julian, Sarah, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on that. It's the way we work. We do develop films internally, but we do a lot of acquisitions that become original films, which means that there are films that come to us fully developed by the producer, as Julien says. And in that instance, the way we approach is that I try to be hands-on as much as possible before entering preparation, simply to make sure that the film I'm buying in my head is the film he wants to make, is the film he wants to deliver in the end, is the same film that the talents involved, the director and even the actors want to make. So in that instance, if all those planets are aligned at the beginning of prep, there's very, very little chance that at the end the movie that is being delivered, especially by movie producers that have delivered movies for theaters, it's the same process. There's very little chance that the film we'll get is going to not be what we bought and bought into. That's often the approach we use.
Right, so you're on the same page. And Julien, can you give us an example of a title and some films that you've been working on with Netflix?
I did 2 movies with Sarah. The first one is Earth and Blood, and the second one is Sentinel.
Mm-hmm.
By the same director.
Yes.
And he's also produced TV series for us.
Yes. And how was that process for you, Julien, working with streamers, having made films outside of that system? The collaboration, the communication. Sarah says you want to make sure that you're both on the same page. What was that collaboration like for you?
As Sarah says, the thing is to be on the same page when you launch the production. Then I have to do my job, is to deliver the movie, and then Netflix will do their job, is to do the marketing for the audience, and then it's the way to do a success is to.
And it's a good learning process beforehand for the both of us, and I think it's a good learning process together also on launching when we launch these films, because there's not only obviously the resonance for French audience, for French movies. Obviously, that's a number one priority, but it's also how we can have a maximum visibility, give maximum visibility globally for these films. We subtitles all of our original films in 9 languages. We dub in 9 languages. We subtitle in more than 30 languages. It's a very, I feel, interesting process to see how we can have these films travel, French films travel, make an impact globally as well. It's true that action films are a good vehicle for that, because they appeal to a bigger audience even outside of France. And we've learned a lot by doing these first films with Julien on that front as well, and how we can tell the French film story locally and globally.
I think to add to that, there's a French savoir-faire on movies, a real one, and our mission as streamers is to provide an exposure that has never been seen before to those movies. And even if we're learning, I think this is also a big opportunity for producers to see their content travel and to value, to give really a real exposure to the French savoir-faire.
Yeah. And Lionel, before I come to you for your experiences, if I can just ask Sarah and Thomas to explain to our audience, how do you define an original? I mean, that can also be a film that you come onto that's been brought to you, yes? It's not necessarily just a film that starts at your companies, right?
I think that a lot of different types of original. The element is that the movie is exclusively on the service, and I think it's the best definition because as Sarah at Netflix, we are also pre-buying movies. We have an acquisition team doing that. There are a lot of different models for producers. We are obviously, as Prime Video, all working together and trying to make the best choices, but we have different models. We're not stuck in one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we three different approaches as far as film comes is pre-buy, invest in films that are going to have a theatrical release, develop our own productions that are going to become originals, and the third way is the one I was talking about earlier, where we license to originals films that are fully developed, but then have the choice to either become films that go into theaters, or if it makes more sense for the producers and the willingness of the talents to have that exposure and the broad appeal that we can provide these films, they can become original films. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks. Lionel, just want to ask you now about some of your experiences producing. Maybe you can talk about a particular title that you've been working on with the streaming platforms.
Yeah, so it's a film that's currently in the editing room that we are doing with Thomas, with Amazon. It's a French comedy called Classico that was announced a few weeks ago by Thomas and the Amazon team. Well, the process for us was kind of close to what Julien has described. It's a movie that we had developed on our own and fully packaged, and then we went on to find the partner and the financing. We talked with Thomas and his team, and so the creative process was kind of in between the two. What Marine and what Julien was saying. The movie was fully developed, but we still worked on the script after we partnered with Amazon. What I think was interesting and is kind of different between producing for traditional films versus streamers, there's one aspect that I think is not so often mentioned. You don't have to worry about the financing. That's true. And you know, producing traditional films, you have to focus on your creative and on your financing at the same time, all across the process. And sometimes you're a few weeks, you know, before shooting. You know, you're in prep, and you have to, you know, finish your contract with, you know, 10 different partners. You know, a pre-sale to free TV, a pre-sale to pay TV, you know, stuff with the region, Sofika, etc., etc. So your bandwidth as a producer, you have 24 hours a day. You have to decide what you dedicate them to. What I think is quite different is when you're doing that with a streamer, all you have to do after you finish your negotiation is to focus on your creative. And I think that's one of the very interesting learnings. Where, of course, you're challenged, and of course, yes, there's a process. But I would say, in a way, out of this process is the financing, which takes so much of your time and energy and level of stress, I would say, when you're an independent producer. On that front, it's put aside. So that, I think it's one of the very, very different aspects that's kind of overlooked, in a way. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to ask you a little bit about the language content of what you're making. I think you've touched on this already, but you know, are you looking specifically? Is there a mandate to have a certain amount of local language content? Are you also looking for English language content or foreign language content with global appeal? How does that sort of break down, Thomas?
We have local teams everywhere, so we are focusing on French language content that we want to make travel. But if you want to produce a movie in Italy, you have someone with a team like me in Italy, you have someone in Spain, in Brazil, everywhere. And we are all trying to also align on what we are looking after, what we're doing, not to have replication of storylines, but we are not only looking at local language in France, but everywhere. I think this is what we call international originals, and they are a key development area for us.
Yeah. Sarah, you'd kind of agree with that? Yeah.
Same approach.
Yeah. When you're approving a project, what are some of the criteria you're looking at? And one of the things we all know about is the algorithm, of course. What's the thought process when you're looking at something to go ahead with it?
Do we look like an algorithm? Like, yeah?
I really wish there was a robot to read the script for me. No, unfortunately, we try to contribute differently and be additive, like Tama was saying, but we're not reinventing the wheel on how we make films. I mean, these guys, they do films for us the same way as they do films for others, and it's the same for us. I come from the film industry before Netflix, and it's the same process, creative process of reading scripts and falling in love with the story and see if it takes a tremendous amount of alignment of stars and a bit of luck for a film to happen. So it needs to be first and foremost a creative process on both sides, and it's the same for us. Again, it would save me some time to have algorithms work for me, but unfortunately that doesn't exist.
And I think, like, first of all, we're looking at we're reading scripts or treatment or a pitch, and the first criteria is this what our customers are expecting? Is this something that can surprise them and that they will want to watch? And the second thing, and this is what Sarah said earlier, is to sit with the producers, with the talents, directors, the writers, and to make sure that we all have the same vision and that we'll work toward the same goal. I think if you have those two criteria, then we can start the conversation.
Yeah, okay. We're going to come to some audience questions in about 5 minutes. If you have a question, put your hand up and we'll have a microphone coming over to you. But I just wanted to ask you also a little bit about the volume of applications that you get, submissions you get from filmmakers out there. I mean, can you give us an idea of how many submissions you get? Is it going up? Is it plateauing?
A lot.
Another NDA?
A lot. No, but there are a lot of people in the market who wants to tell stories, so they know how to reach out to us. Yeah, a lot, and it's a growing number, I would say.
And it is a growing number. We're working to try and get back to our partners as quickly as possible, but it's a lot to manage, especially now that we have a larger contribution to the financing of films also that go into theaters. But I say that without any complaint. You know, it's great to be able to be on this end and see the talent pool is in France. We're very, very lucky in France. The talent pool is very wide, and there's a lot to choose from, and that's a luxury as far as I'm concerned, for sure.
And I think one mission for us is also for the producers to understand who are the right POCs for each type of movies. Like, we have a growing team on the creative side, but on the acquisition side also, with people that will work, as Sarah was saying, on pay-to movies, because we now, and we are super happy, are going to finance a theatrical movie too. So the key is for them to have a local team, for us to get fast to answer to them, and for them to understand who they have to speak to.
And I want to add to that. I think there's, like Julien was saying earlier, there's a lot to say about know who your audience is on the producer front as well. Meaning, if you want to talk to Prime or Netflix, watch what we're doing, watch the local language stuff we're doing, what we're into, and because because there are some trends. We want to widen our offer as much as possible, but there are certain things that appeal to our audience, and you can start learning that just by watching what's on the service, really.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask our producer friends, coming from a world of making theatrical content, what are your expectations about possible theatrical releases for your films? We know that the streamers will do theatrical uplift releases sometimes. Is that something you're expecting with these films? Have you made your peace that the film will go straight to a platform and not get a theatrical release? Marina, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's again, it's an opportunity to create movies for a different screen, and we, of course, we will work together on both way, as for traditional movies going to theaters, we will also now be working with Netflix, with Prime, thanks to the new media chronology, where we can negotiate windows. So I think we are more into create original platform and doing movies for theaters. It's two different way of working, and for us it's not when we decide to work with streamers for a direct to a platform, we know that okay, this movie will not go to theaters. And we work together on a different way. And of course, our main producing activities will remain doing movies for theaters, that's for sure. But again, it's complementary. So we're not trying to have these movies on theaters. It's different, and we have another way of working together for these movies. So.
Yeah, I think that's something that's become understood more now, that these two different ways can coexist and live together. Julien, Lionel, do you have any thoughts about this? There are certain films that you are happy to collaborate with the streamers, knowing that we'll just get a streaming release only, no theatrical. You're at peace with that?
Yes, as Thomas said at the beginning, it's really a new opportunity and a different. It's a new partner we can get. So, as Marine said, there will be movies going to theaters pre-buy by a platform, and probably one day, I don't know, there will be full originals with a theater release. I think that's the sense of the story, to have all this mix. So yeah, just to answer so quickly, I'm very happy.
Yeah, great. Look, I think we've got time for some questions from the audience. So if you have a question, please put your hand up and we'll bring a microphone over. Yeah, the gentleman here at the front.
Hi. I put my question in English or in French, as you know.
English, please.
English? Okay. I'm producer for Les Films Médaillons, and I want to know if I have a script for you, Netflix or Amazon, if it's important to have a director with a producer for an agreement, or you can choose together.
We're taking projects at different stage. So as I said, like, it can be a pitch, it can be a treatment, it can be a script, there can be a director attached. It depends on how do you want to approach it. I think we've seen that there are different models. Some people are coming with a director attached, some not, and it's fine. Like, we're super open.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lillian. I'm very interested to know about completed projects. So I very much presume that Netflix, it's a very small percentage, or you've got to win several film festivals with that. But with Amazon Prime, if it's a specific genre, and say, for instance, religion, okay, I'm just using that as an example, is there a point system that you go through for it to actually land up on Amazon Prime for you to accept it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
No?
the question.
Oh.
Can you just put the mic?
Okay. Can you hear me better now? So on Amazon Prime, for people to submit a completed film, I know that you need to have a library of films. You can't just do one. But say, for instance, they are a certain genre, like religion or sports. Is there a point system that it goes through? How do you get it to be approved? I mean, what is it that you're looking for?
You have teams, the acquisition team, that are here to get your submissions, and that will get back to you on if that's of interest for us or not. But I would not say there's a point system. It's again, it's back to human, back to people that are your touch point and whom you can reach out to.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman in the second row here with the blue shirt. Yeah.
Thank you. I had a question, but it was really similar to this lady. Simply, I am French, and I make action movies. So what you just said resonates to me. So my question was, it's really dumb question, but my question is simply how can I reach out to you to deliver and present a package?
Emails. Send an email. Give a phone call. Super easy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that sounds nice and easy. Anybody else? Yeah, there's a gentleman at the back there, hand up, grey shirt, white jacket. Yeah.
Hi, question for the streamers. So how do you manage to maintain quality when you have so many productions happens in 1 year, if that makes sense?
This comes back to what we were saying earlier on putting these producers at the center of the creative process and the production. We essentially rely 100% on them, basically. No, it's really that we have a certain number of films that we do a year, and it's true that we cannot, follow through the entire production process. And the relationship we establish with these producers is absolutely key to maintaining, obviously, quality. This is it's essentially the only way to have a certain volume of films that are systematically, the best films that these producers can make.
And alignment from the very beginning, what Sarah said earlier. If you're all aligned on what you want to do, then it's rare to have a strong disappointment. So alignment from the very beginning.
So have you ever been familiar with a role like supervising producer role? Do you guys work with supervising producers on each project that works from Netflix or Amazon, or no?
It happens that there's a collaborative. Depends on the film. If we've developed the film internally, there might be a production supervisor from Netflix that works with the producer. But again, this is very much under the producer's control.
Okay, thank you.
Those are teams to support and to help, the movie to be the best.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, there's a lady here at the front in the purple top. The microphone's coming.
Is this question when you're doing?
Madam, the microphone's coming. It might be easier. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Wendy Bernfeld from Right Stuff. We've had less problem focusing on Amazon or Netflix when it is domestic, like a local French or a local Dutch production. But there's some projects that we're representing where we want the France office and the UK office to work together in a co-funding, because the story is covering different countries. And what we found in the past 6 months is it was really difficult internally with both Netflix and Amazon because it fell almost between the cracks, because it wasn't 100% local and it wasn't. Can you, maybe it's just the past 6 months, reorganizations, but how do you go forward with that? Yeah.
First and foremost, you're right. So it is, you know, we have teams focusing on in each country on local language. So it is true that the hybrid project between, or co-production between two countries, we're not staffed up for that right now. And again, I don't know if moving forward, what's the timeline on that? It's just that, you know, one thing at a time, the priority is local for now. You know, I can't contradict what you're saying. It's just like we're trying to do better going forward. It just takes time.
Yeah, the primary focus is really to be local. I think then, depending on the project, maybe when territory can take a lead, if there's a strong hook for a local audience, but there's no crossing, let's say, for now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have the lady here, the black shirt in the third row.
Hi, good morning. My name is Asalim. We're from Kazakhstan, and I would like to ask a question for the Amazon and for the Netflix. So, do you take into consideration the movies from our countries? So, from Kazakhstan, considering that it's gonna be mixed with English subtitles, of course, definitely, in our language. Do you take into consideration such movies?
We have regional teams that will focus on that specific region wherever you come from. So yeah, it's always the same. The local teams in place are there to filter the project submission and decide whether or not for the region it's the right project to go for. So there's a me and there's a Thomas everywhere in the world, and that's the person you need to contact for that specific project.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We've got just a few more minutes left. If we could just have the lady on the other side there with her hand up.
Hello, my name is Anne Alexander from Dancing Film France. We have a collection of 5 films in Europe with Finland, Germany, Italy, Greece, and France. Would it mean that we will go in each of our countries separately because the collection is about one theme, power, or because I'm the major producer, go to you guys?
I think the good thing is that we are working closely with our colleagues in all the territories. So if you have a first entry with one, I would suggest, like, for example, for France, send it to me. I'll circle back with my colleagues, and then we'll see if there's a path forward or not. But yeah, this will obviously requires everyone POV.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can take one or two more. Yes, the gentleman there with the white shirt.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Manish Karma, and I have 2 questions kind of related to each other. I know you talked about TV and TV series and films. I was wondering what's your take on the future of short films. I know streamers are not in there, or are you thinking of getting into short film business? And also you said you kind of...
like shark as in the water?
Short.
I was like, is he talking about creature films?
Or short film.
Short films, yeah.
Short films?
Yeah, short films.
A short shark film could be really
I
cool.
thought you were being super specific there.
Sunday morning, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I think that you can find some shorts already within the platform that have been acquired, saying that it's a priority. It's not for now. I mean, we're building already on TV series, on movies, and as we were saying, like, it's actually just starting. It's been, what, three years now? So let's build on movies, and then we'll see how we will work on other specific format, I think.
Yeah, so
same.
Okay. So I'd like, basically, so you take films at different stages of development. Do you take a completed short film? Would you consider that for for your
A movie that is already shot?
Completed short film.
Yeah. The acquisition team can look at that too.
Okay, already. Thank you.
Great. I think we can do one final question. There's a lady here at the front who's had her hand up.
Hi, good morning. I was wondering, because you were talking about even in acquisition, you work with the filmmakers from early on in the process. So how is that different from actually being an original? And isn't it that I know that there's a big price difference in what you pay for the acquisition?
No, I mean, no. No. It's just there might be a slightly more that might be more specific to us than to Thomas, I believe. So we work both ways. I have a colleague that will develop alongside you your idea, an IP, a story, a book, an adaptation, whatever. So that's internally, and there's a longer development process, obviously. When I talk about acquisition, it's just that we're at the end of the development stage. So there's a fully developed project. It's slightly more tangible, but after that, there's the process is the same. So it's about making the movie together at whatever price point. It's just the difference between developing together or you developing on your end and coming to us once it's ready to produce, basically.
Yeah, it's really where the movie is at the moment you present it. And on our side, what I can say is that even if it goes through the acquisition team, we're working together. So we'll be here to make sure that the experience of the producer and the talent is the best with us. So if we can support, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your questions, everybody. I hope that's given you some insight. One more question from Serge, of course.
I have a question for the three producers. Obviously, you are very experienced in making movies. Do you have any advice for the audience? Some mistakes to avoid when addressing something to streamers?
One advice, which comes along what was said earlier, the question of the alignment of the understanding of what the movie is. And I would say specifically with the talents, I think as a producer you have to be very transparent and clear vis-à-vis your talents, whether it's a director or directors, a screenwriter, and also actors. They need to know what the path is going to be in terms of the development process, the production process, the editing process, so that there is no misunderstanding, in terms of the involvement of the streamers team, etc. I think as long as they know what they have to do and how they have to collaborate is quite key. If not, I think the risk becomes that, as Sarah was saying earlier, that you have a movie in mind, your creators have a movie in mind, but the streamer, doesn't understand exactly that, we are all making the same film, and that's when I guess problems could arise. So I would say the earlier the communication with your talent on that, and then the road, should be fine.
Yeah, you're right. I completely agree with what Lionel just said. The writing process, the development process is very crucial to be on the same page. When we enter into production, and I think we really have these mutual feelings. Yep. I mean, we've been sharing, following our first experience of this, how important it is to be working in transparency and take the time during development and during this written phase.
Julien, did you want to?
The advice would be, as we said earlier, to be sure the project is a project that fits with the streamer, because if you send a project that doesn't fit at all, well, as Sarah said, she has a lot to read, so she read one, and then the second one she will say, okay, the guy really doesn't understand at all what we are looking for, and then the third one will go directly to the garbage. So I think know the audience, understand what they are looking for. That's the first advice.
Great. I think that's it. Look, Sarah, Thomas, Marine, Lionel, Julien, thank you for your time and your insights, and thank you all for coming and for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for waking up early on a Sunday to come and listen to this conference.
Thank you.